Sorry if I...
Са на някакво време деца. Ми подадеш ли малко водичка от чантата? Евгений? Ми дадеш ли малко водичка от чантата?
Тяна, кажете ми дали някой има нужда от превод и дали да продължавам да превеждам реално. Дали разбирам. Мисъл... Аз мисля, аз мога да стоя, за да превеждам въпроси, ако някой има, но дали има разбиране, от смисъл да ги разбирате тях. Това ме интересува.
Ама може да превеждаш на двама, които ако някой има нужда да
мога и да
на едно място, за да не дублираме целия разговор.
Но тук какво стана? Какъв е толкова?
Никой...
Какъв е толкова?
Не знам, човек.
Записва ли се?
Okay, let's continue just in English because everyone knows it.
It's like that, so there's a lot of unions, and so what? Poland has very low workforce that's unionized. We have probably the highest level of union pluralism in probably the world, because we don't know any other country that has so many unions. And so what?
I missed. There were 3,000 unions in.
There's 6,000 that are registered.
Unions.
Yeah, 6,000. It doesn't mean anything. You need 10 people to be a legal union. 10.
We have 3.
No, there is a lot of unions in Bulgaria, but not active. Like there is some small unions who are registered just in one workplace, but they are registered and official. But but most of the unions, we have 2 big unions, which are most of the small unions eventually became part of the big union because they offer them, they invite them to meetings and they offer them to join.
But what is in this respect in Poland, like when you say there's 6,000, are they united in like these bigger confederations?
No, not necessarily. There are actually 2 confederations because the Solidarność doesn't really act like a federation. There's one large union, Solidarity. It has about 1 million people, so it's the largest. And there are 2 smaller ones. One is a confederation, and I think it has more than 300 unions in it. It has about 700,000 people, and then there's another one that has about 500,000 people, and but that one has about 20 or 30 unions on it. But it's very strong in 1 or 2 industries. And so what? And they're with their tails between their legs and begging to the government and making deals with the bosses. And no other questions?
Is your syndicate present in specific industries or active in specific industries? Like what is it? You have a focus and how you came up? And that having
it's open to every worker, so wherever we manage to have a union, we have a union. But in practice now, we have more than 1 union in hospitals. So we have the most of our members, the biggest thing is hospitals right now, and I think the second biggest thing is temporary work agencies. So, although there are other people like teachers, IT workers.
Could our unions, for the future, could our unions work with the unemployed people? Because this is the most biggest problem for the future. Unemployed people are more than the workers. Yeah?
That's a very good question. We, for example, don't have a project like that. But I know other anarcho-syndicalist unions that do work with unemployed more. And the whole question about this is what would that union do to attract people to be active in it, and how would it benefit unemployed people? So there are different ideas, for example, that comrades in Spain thought up for unemployed people. For example, that the union in general, but they have hundreds of people in unions, right? But for example, in one federation where they have 500 people in that federation, they decided to sponsor that they bought some land, and so unemployed people could make a collective farm on this land. So they sponsored this like from the union money to give people opportunity to feed themselves, employ themselves, and something like this. And so I think that it's important to engage unemployed people, but the question is like what to do. So people need to be creative.
I think part of the problem with the that part of the problem with the raising unemployment globally is the precarious workers. And do you have some specific tactic on precarious workers? And because we talk about a lot about this in our union, it's a big topic.
I mean, all of the examples we gave were of precarious workers. So also, of course, the biggest problem is how work contracts are replaced by agency contracts, and how permanent contracts are replaced with temporary contracts. And so sometimes people work for years in one company but never have a contract. So that was the focus of one of those struggles in the hospital. The strike was second part of it, but the first part was when they won the contract itself, because the strike was when they wanted to demanded some raise, and some people who were fired to come back to work. There were some other costs to it, but first they were replaced by an external company which didn't want to provide them with contracts, but only what we call trash contracts, which I don't know if it exists here or how it works, but it's a really big problem in Poland, bigger for sure than in Romania. I don't know about Bulgaria, but in Poland, like 1/3 of workers do not have like contracts they should. They work like a worker, but they don't have a contract. They have something else, like as a civil agreement, like an independent contractor. So it's a big problem. So I don't know how much of a problem it's here. Yeah. So they don't have healthcare insurance. They don't have retirement pension, and they don't have the labor code doesn't apply to them at all. So
they can be fired every day.
Yeah, exactly. So all of those workers we mentioned in those struggles were in this situation. So some of them in the hospital, they protested in order to get the contract from this new company, and they managed to get a work contract, but that's really exceptional.
So maybe to answer your question more fully, we think that our union is a much better place for precarious workers than any other union for several reasons. First of all, up until recently, the other unions don't even consider that these people could be in their union because they're not permanent workers. This is the first thing. The second thing is the labor code doesn't apply to them, which means they can't do the same thing in court that a regular worker does. So the unions who rely on that type of action think they have no way to win anything. And these people are alienated from the mainstream unions because the mainstream unions mostly are trying to get a lot of workers in big industry and get dues and a lot of money to support their bureaucracy. So a lot of precarious workers are in our union, and it's a good place for them to